everybody. Welcome to the Culture and People Cast. Today we have Levy. And Aaron, in a few sentences, would you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Aaron Levy. I'm the founder and CEO of Raise the Bar and another on-demand coaching company called Stride. And I authored the book Open, Honest, and Direct. And it's a long-winded introduction. I share all that because I have this vision of a future of work where your manager and your boss are your coach. They're the person that helps you be at your best and really helps you unlock your potential.
Yeah.
And that's why I started Raise the Bar, started Stride, and wrote Open, Honest, and Direct. All are really in that same vein of how do we empower leaders to be better leaders, to be coaches for their people, so that the workplace doesn't have to suck. So it can be, fun and challenging all at once.
Yeah. And I will tell you, there was a time in my career after almost 20 years in corporate and 4 years on my own that I spent a lot of time trying to convince organizations that the player coach model should be dismantled, right? Like everybody should just be a coach. And now I'm more realistic about it, saying like, all right, maybe we don't dismantle the model, but we say we have to be carving out enough time, right? The right amount of time and focus and intention on the coach side. And when we do that really well, at least we're giving our people more of what they deserve, those time, that support, those resources that they should get from a coach.
Yeah, I had this intention that I've written down on my desk from this morning's graduation with a cohort of leaders. And the intention was excellence is not achieved by accident. And that goes with everything, right? You can't build a high-performing team, build a high-performing culture without being intentional about how you lead, how you operate with one another, how you work as a team, not just how do you deliver your product, how do you sell your product, how do you market your product. That's critically important, but the people that do that are your team. And so the question that we help companies and we talk about is, how do you get intentional about how you lead? And we don't even, I rarely ever have conversations with people where we have to convince them that it's the case. Now, believe me, there's plenty of organizations out there that don't believe that it's the case, or say one thing but act in a different way. We just don't get in the same room as those people, because our job is to say, hey, we love working with organizations that understand that people are their access to success, and we just get to show them how to best optimize that.
I love that. People are the access to success. And in a year where I'm hearing from a lot of leaders that engaging talent is a challenge, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. There is a silver lining here, is that it's forcing us to realize that leading people takes time, effort, and energy, that we have to be more intentional about it, that we have to slow down to speed up. And it's realizing I can't just look over and see what that person's doing to hold them accountable. I actually have to give them autonomy, and also balance that with accountability, because, autonomy purely on its own doesn't work. And autonomy and accountability purely on its own doesn't work either. It's a balance, It's a pendulum, and you have to balance that. And that takes work, and that takes effort, and that takes intention.
Yeah, agreed. I love that. Autonomy and accountability. Good yin and yang there. So let's get really tactical, Aaron. What advice do you have? There's a listener out there. Maybe they are a people leader. Maybe they're an employee of an organization that says, I want my culture in this organization to get better, and I want to do something about it. What advice do you have that they could do something tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to give it in two ways. One is if there's any skill that you could focus on developing, it's listening and asking powerful questions. If you can do that, you're equipped in any way, shape, or form to handle almost any problem, because you ask and you listen and you uncover. And that's what the best strategists do. That's what the best coaches do. That's what the best leaders do. So it's if you can practice listening and asking. However, that it's a skill, it's not so easy to implement. And so what I would say as a very tactical thing to do is, before your next important one-on-one conversation with your boss or direct report, or even a client, what I would recommend you do is, one, write down an intention. What do you want? What's your intention for that session, for that meeting? And two, turn off all your notifications. Turn them off on your phone, turn them off on your watch, turn them off, right? Whether it's you get Slack, you get email, you get all these things popping up on your computer, turn all of those things off. Apple has this do not disturb button that you can turn on, put that on. And do it on your phone as well, and your iPad and your Apple Watch, or your, whatever type of watch you have, so that you can be there fully with somebody else.
I love those. I love those tips. And when somebody comes to me and says, what can I do? I'm just feeling like I'm not getting anything done. That's one of my first pieces of advice. Like, all notifications. People know my phone's almost always on do not disturb, right? Our ability to multitask, like we might be able to do it, but it isn't helpful, right? It's not sustainable. It's not actually going to get us the results that we want. So focus, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it at the micro level, you're not really like the idea of multitasking isn't real because you're just going from one task to another. So you're not doing two tasks at once. You're doing individual tasks, but switching back and forth. So you're not fluid with any of them and not getting into pure flow. So it actually holds back efficiency, which is a whole separate conversation.
I know. And this is not like my ability to fold laundry while watching Netflix, right? That's a rote thing. Leading people requires that intention that you were talking about, right? Being fully present in that space. And now more than ever, when we're virtually, our people need that from us, right? So that building that connection is great. Thanks for the advice, Aaron. All right, let's do a quick shout out. Is there anyone else doing really good work in the ring for people and culture in the workplace?
Yes, I have his book right here too.
Do it.
Aaron Dignan, Brave New Work. First of all, awesome book. He's got a great podcast. His company is The Ready, and they just do really interesting work about the workplace. And I think I read his book and took it into how we look at our organization, and it really resonated with breaking down power dynamics. And it's something we can talk about, but it takes a lot of practice. And what are the things how are we setting up our organizations? And so it's something I've always been fascinated about, and he is an expert in that realm. And The Ready is doing some pretty darn good work.
Awesome. And what about favorite resources that have advanced your own thinking in terms of culture and people, be it a book or a podcast, even something from your org?
Book or a podcast? Oh man, there's a lot. The tip I would give is like books that may not seem like they're directly connected to work.
Sure.
Right? Like, because they provide different insights. I'll give you a good one. One of my favorites, A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And it's a profound book that has insights on the Holocaust and on the world and on history, but it can really tell you a lot about human behavior and how we interact and how we think about and approach the world and meaning behind it. And so, as I'm looking back on my wall, I think that is that's my one.
That's a great one. I think it helps shift our perspective, right? I mean, every year I read The Fountainhead because Howard Roark, it just reminds me that I can do things differently and that I can put my own sort of vision for this, how I want to use my time and talents. I can put that first, and there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I love the connection there. So Aaron, thank you for everything that you are doing for the world of work and people and culture. And thanks for being a guest today.
Thanks for having me on, Anna. This was a blast.
Of course. Peace and progress, guys.